What do we want? When do we want it?
As the United States marked Martin Luther King Jr. Day Monday, the occasion was used to urge passage of the federal legislative voting rights package now before the Senate, with President Biden recently explaining the stakes as he lobbied lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
I hope we can get this done, but I'm not sure. But one thing for certain, like every other major civil rights bill that came along, if we missed the first time, we could come back and try it a second time. We missed this time. And the state legislative bodies continue to change the law, not as to who can vote, but who gets to count the vote. Count the vote. It's about election subversion, not just whether or not people get to vote.
Republican lawmakers in at least 19 states to date have passed dozens of laws since former President Trump's defeat, limiting voting times and the use of mail-in ballots, which reached new levels of popularity during the pandemic. While those Republican-led states are also raising voter ID requirements, despite voter ID fraud being rare, and over concerns that it disproportionately targets low-income, racial and ethnic minorities who often cannot afford to obtain the underlying documents needed for government-issued photo ID, instead using alternative legal forms of identification. The legislation would make Election Day a national holiday, expand mail-in voting, require states to make voting more accessible for people with disabilities, while requiring states to broaden the types of ID acceptable for voting, while outlawing the drawing of congressional boundaries to the advantage of one party over another.
We can eliminate the filibuster with a simple majority and then pass this bill that every Democratic senator says they support. But as you've heard, a few people stand in the way. Not just Republicans, every one of them is taking an immoral position against voting rights. But that's not who I want to talk about today. I'm talking about two Democratic senators, Senator Joe Manchin and Senator Kristen Sinema, who say they support the bill but refuse to eliminate the filibuster to pass it. They think the real problem isn't that our rights are being stolen. They think the real problem is a disease of division that can be cured with some optimism and conversation.
A reference to the two Democratic senators who have refused to back efforts to change the supermajority threshold of 60 votes for legislative passage in the Senate.
While I continue to support these bills, I will not support separate actions that worsen the underlying disease of division infecting our country. The debate over the Senate's 60-vote threshold shines a light on our broader challenges.
Barring a seismic shift, the legislation is expected to be defeated.
President Biden has spread so much misinformation about the basic facts of state voting laws that he was called out and debunked by, listen to this, the Washington Post. This is misinformation. It's a big lie designed to reduce faith in our democracy, justify a top-down election takeover, and justify smashing the Senate itself.
Unlikely passage, but political theatre in the main, as the Senate now takes the stage in this long-running battle over what elections should look like in the United States. Sherwin Bryceby's SABC News, New York.